welcome to our 6th podcast, is it?
Too many to count.
I'm losing track. They're all so good. I'm so happy with what's going on. But anyway, we are going to talk about storage today. And of course, I want to announce we're at Ford Hotel Supply, right?
One of my favorites. Look how beautiful this room is. I mean, you
Oh,
look
my
around and now a
God.
different little camera
and look,
angle
you can
for
see
you.
some of the,
The showroom.
yeah.
Right there for you.
Yeah.
And, of course, Chef Lepage.
Lepage with an E.
With an E, my
with an E.
apologies. Not
Not an L-A.
No.
You know,
And
We worked hard for that E.
That's right. We got you. Well, Linda and I, we had that first food for thought that may or may not have. So, growing pains,
That's
right?
all it
Yeah,
is. Yeah.
Just like in the restaurant industry when we're
Exactly.
working and all of that good stuff. And Linda, Chef
Yeah.
Lepage, the floor is your guys' senators.
Thank you.
I'm going to withdraw.
so he's been teaching me so much already before this podcast, talking about the shelving. Now, I know we're talking about the order of refrigeration also, but this shelving is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed.
And maybe we'll do the temperatures first, and then we'll get to all that fun stuff after.
And
This is
all
all
the-
fun stuff, but yeah.
Yes. So we want to talk at the bottom of the shelf.
Yeah, so the big point of today's podcast is to not just proper storage in what types of containers and all the different types of containers, but where to actually place stuff on a shelving unit. A lot of people think why is that important? You just throw it on there and it's on there.
That's what I do at home.
Yeah, it's off the floor. Why? Well, you're putting raw chicken up here, it's dripping onto lettuce. Well, there you go, salmonella salad, right? So we don't want that happening. So there is a specific order to put stuff on a shelving unit, and there's a science and a reason behind that. Much like everything else in the kitchen with equipment, there's a reason behind it. Now, this has changed. Linda and I were talking previously how it's changed in just the past couple years on how the order goes, but it's generally the same with when you think about certain products. So right now, the FDA requires that you store stuff based on the cooking temperature of the product. So different products are required to be cooked at different temperatures, and also required to be reheated to different temperatures as well. So you're thinking like reheating pastas or reheating casseroles, things like that, or initially cooking chicken breast, steak, hamburger, eggs, things like that, products like that.
Not to cut you off, Chef Lepage, but I got to ask you, are there certain products for certain, foods? Because I can just think of us at home, whenever I'm driving, especially if I got a grandma's, bring those leftovers home, I throw them in the car, and I don't think sometimes the Tupperware is either, not the right, material because it's too hot for it, too cold. Is that the same with what you guys encounter?
Yeah, and that's more container specific when you're going to like reheating stuff or putting hot food into a container, how to properly store it after it's hot, reheated, and there's cooling practices.
Oh boy, that's another segment.
That's a whole other segment, how to properly cool food and the time it takes for that, the 7 hours, but and all that, not nonsense, but all that really fun information that you need to know in order to serve
Come
food.
to my class.
Yeah, in order to serve food safely to your guest and to your family if you're doing it at home. So we kind of have a nice little setup here with a four-tier shelving unit, which is pretty standard in any kitchen that you'll find. 4 tiers, you can go up to as many or as little as you need. But we have it on the bottom, 165 degrees. So this is product that has to be cooked to 165 degrees, which are chicken.
Yes.
Some poultries, like turkey as well. Duck necessarily doesn't need to be cooked at 165 degrees. You can serve duck breast at medium temperatures, things like that. But chicken, poultry,
Reheating
turkey.
your casseroles.
Reheating casseroles need to be heated up to 165.
Anything reheated, you have to reheat up to 165.
Yes.
So thus, it should be on the bottom shelf.
Exactly, yes. So with reheating as well, it's not just hitting 165 and like, oh, we're done. It's got to be there for a certain amount of time, as well as, making sure it's heated up properly within a certain amount of time. You can't take 10 hours to heat up to 165 degrees. That's, you're messing with the temperature dangerously.
We're going to be growing some bacteria.
Exactly, yeah. You're growing something, yeah. So bottom shelf is your most dangerous products or potentially hazardous foods, your chickens, your poultry, and your reheating of casseroles.
Yes.
We move one step up to 155 degrees. So now this is going to be your beef, like ground beef.
meats.
Yeah, ground meats, yeah. So your ground beef, your ground pork.
Lamb.
Lamb, yeah, your red meats, that type of product. So cooking that to an internal, and these are internal temperatures as well. These are not external temperatures, they're internal temperatures of 165 degrees and 155 degrees. So Your meatloaf that you want to cook, if you haven't ground beef on here and forming a meatloaf, you're going to want to cook that to 155 degrees.
And nowadays it's 155 for 17 seconds.
Yes.
It used to be 15.
15 seconds, correct.
And they've upped it to 17 seconds.
Those
That other
extra
2
seconds.
I know.
Yeah, you can't just say as a cook now, give me 2 seconds. Like, no, you have to cook it for 2 seconds.
That's a good point.
So from there, again, another jump of 10 degrees, 145 degrees. So 165, 155, 145. Now there's a couple categories that fit in this 145 category.
Yes.
So one would be eggs, right? Probably one of the most important ones. Your scrambled eggs, your omelets, your poached eggs, things like that. Generally need to be cooked to 145 degrees minimum. And then the other product would be?
Well, it'd be all of our roasts and our
Exactly,
steaks.
yeah.
You know, our large cuts of meat we
Yeah.
want to put on the shelf. And then also we have our fish, which technically is above the whole cuts of meat, but it's still 145.
Correct, yes. So you would want to store them on potentially 2 different shelves so there's no cross-contamination
Really interesting.
of stuff, yes.
Yeah.
And we have different options for those types of storage, whether putting a whole nother shelf here or something like this where you can do side by side, but also having it at the same temperature. And then finally, last but certainly not least, is what you'll find as RTEs or your ready-to-eat foods.
Disclaimer. Before we started the segment today, I heard Linda and Chef Lepage talking about RTs, and I went, this is like return on equity. I was wrong. But now that RT's ready to eat, so now with that being said, is that for anything and everything we're kind of cooking? It just goes right to that level?
So what you'll see with ready-to-eat food is like your salad greens can go up there because you're not going to be cooking them. They're going to be, if it's in a refrigerator, it's going to be stored cool. What that also means is the higher the shelf is, the cooler the air is, because the fans will blow cold air over it before it reaches to the bottom. So there's a lot of different reasons why they do that. Where you'll also see ready to eat is in like glove usage. So you ready to eat foods is when you have to wear gloves right before the customer's going to eat it. So the best way to think about it is anything that comes off this shelf can go directly onto a plate and can be served to a customer and eat without any manipulation to it temperature-wise. So it's ready to eat.
There you go.
Pretty
RTE,
self-explanatory.
baby.
Yeah. So it's a different category, but there again, if you have ready to eat, say down here, and you have fish juice dripping on it because you're not storing it in a proper container, well now that ready to eat food is contaminated.
So it's all, if you're disorganized, this could be not only dangerous but deadly in some cases, and then probably not a nice letter from the health inspector if they come and pay you a visit.
It's an even nastier poster on the front door that says you're closed because you can't store food properly.
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go. There you
The
go.
letter comes first, the poster comes next. The lock comes third.
Yeah, so it's very important that we keep our food safe so we can keep our doors open.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just doors open, business, but reputation as well.
Oh, my God.
You don't want to have the reputation of serving unsafe food because of something simple like just storing stuff properly. This is very simple. Most companies like ServeSafe or some of the companies you work, Linda, will give posters out that you can actually put on the walk-in door or outside your dry storage or anywhere where you're storing food that has this exact diagram on it in multiple languages, just in case you have multiple languages in the kitchen or in staff. It'll have it exactly with pictures, so it's very easy to follow, so you can be as proactive storing food as possible. Now the big thing is training.
Yep.
That poster doesn't do any good if you're not training how to use the poster or how to properly store the food.
A big takeaway for me too, guys, is I'm looking at this and, I mean, I know walk-ins are probably a little bit bigger in size, but just looking at this, even in this smaller space, it's organized. I know where everything is. I can see it in those clear labels and containers.
Yes.
That's huge, and it doesn't need to be a big, huge, mega kitchen or refrigerator walk-in to, you know, have this done the right way.
Absolutely. And
It could be done at home.
Yeah. Well, that's
you're absolutely right. Yeah.
People don't do it and think about it at home. Too.
Where like the industry is going, especially where restaurants are, kitchens don't make money. Front of the house makes money. Yep. So front of the houses are getting bigger, kitchens are getting smaller. So your walk-in cooler is going to be much smaller now, smaller footprint kitchen, so you need to be as efficient as possible in that small space. So systems like this, proper storing, proper containers, really help with that solution of being efficient in your storage, being safe in your storage, and being just a better, smooth running operation. So, there's been a lot of investment in products to help with this, first and foremost, safety-wise, of storing products properly, but also being more storage friendly so that, like you said, a walk-in could be big, but it also could be a 7x7 room where you don't have a lot of space, where you need to be as efficient as possible.
Yes.
So
It's amazing, but we do need to know this order to keep
Yes.
our food safe.
yeah.
And then the equipment. I am just so impressed. So I learned today a lot about the equipment. First, let me ask, are we done in talking about our different levels?
I'm okay with that.
I'm
These
okay.
signs will be up the whole time, so if they want to rewind it and check it out again, well, they can do that for sure.
Yes.
Or let me get a shameless plug in, or if you're watching on demand and you want to fast
you go.
forward or
Yeah.
rewind, you can do that too. But to me, I mean, what I think is so important about this is the storage containers themselves, because they are very sturdy. They aren't flimsy. This is
Yeah.
what you need for a commercial kitchen. Or
Clear.
even to me, Chef Lepage, Linda, at home during those cookouts, how many times have I almost spilt a pot of beans or a Tupperware full of spaghetti sauce? It's all about the materials and equipment you have too.
Absolutely. And so we have a couple examples of different styles of containers and storage solutions for any kitchen that any kitchen can really use. Examples of good lids, not so good lids, but acceptable coverings, we'll say, yeah. So, I think one of the things we start with is, understanding why we should store in containers like these as opposed to cardboard boxes.
Yep.
And I was telling Linda before, a lot of people don't realize that when you're getting tomatoes or when you're getting lettuce from a produce vendor or from a grocery store or something like that, what they're doing is as they're picking that lettuce, that box that it's shipped to you in is on the farm floor. It's on the ground, on the farm. They're cutting the romaine, putting it right into that cardboard box, closing it up, throwing it on a truck, and then it's being shipped to wherever it needs to be.
Yes.
So we don't know what's going into that box, animals, rodents, things like that.
And we know
then if-
cockroaches love cardboard.
Absolutely. So if you're putting that box right into your cooler onto a shelf, you're running the risk of not looking through that box or not managing that situation properly. So we have solutions like these large food boxes that are clear, smaller food boxes, things like that, where you can empty the box in, make sure everything's okay, and if there is some rotting issue, insect issues, you can take care of it before it has a chance to even come into the cooler or your dry storage and affect other product in there, and most importantly, affect your customers.
Our favorite word, preventative maintenance.
Exactly, yeah.
That's right.
Do the work up front so you don't have to do it on the back end.
Now, Linda, I got to ask you. We talked in Linda's class, Chef Lepage, on just how high off the ground we have to be, and how high do we have to be off the ground, Linda?
You're quizzing me, aren't you?
I am.
6 inches.
6 inches. So I don't know if you can see, but this is this shelving unit is actually on casters, so it's about 10 inches off the ground. But with feet on most shelving units, the lowest setting that you could put a shelf on will be 6 inches off the ground automatically. So 6 inches minimum, so you can sweep, mop.
Anytime you got debris around, you're going to have rodents around and pests, right? So we want to make sure to clean underneath our equipment and clean underneath our shelving too, in the dry storage room and everything in the kitchen. So that's why it's sitting up.
Yeah, and so with that, you have, like Linda said, full access to cleaning and mopping underneath, sweeping and mopping underneath, getting back to that back corner where things can fall, liquids can run down the wall, as well as making sure everything's sanitary. As much as clear containers are important, one of the things I find that's most important is the proper container for the proper product.
Thank you.
Because
Yes.
that is huge as well. So there's solutions out there with, a lot of produce can give off different types of gases that don't mix very well with other products. And that can cause rotting or speed up the deterioration of produce and products in a walk-in. And especially when you have them next to each other without a proper lid. So there are products out there that offer these great seal lids that will seal on the inside and the outside of the container itself, so that when you push it in, you'll actually push it down and you can hear the air come out. So it relieves excess air, kind of like your Tupperware, you push it down. Yeah,
This is pretty high.
yeah. So in the industry, we call that burping it. You usually do it with plastic wrap, but you can burp the container. And what that does is that releases any extra air in there, excess gas that the produce is putting off.
Can I ask you one more thing about this? Because every time I ask a question, I always think it's going to be groundbreaking, but it never is. I think this is how it's going to be with this too. I'm seeing this platform.
Yes.
What is that used for?
So that's a great question. It's not a poor question at all.
There we go.
So a lot of products, especially our food pans or our food boxes rather, and then our Food Pro Plus squares like this, can come with a drain pan.
Okay.
So say you put romaine, you get a box of romaine in, you cut it up, you put it in a sink of water, you wash it really well, make sure it's clean, no dirt, you spin it dry. You want to put it in a container like this, that when it sits, there's still going to be residual water on there.
There is.
There always is in the crevices. But what's happening is the product is going to be off the bottom, and any water that'll happen will just collect on the bottom, and your product's not sitting in the water.
And getting moldy or
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not adding an additional risk into the product. So
That is cool.
and not just food safety, but even money saving wise or food cost wise, because if product's sitting in a liquid, it's going to deteriorate a lot faster. You're going to lose the integrity of the food product. So you want to limit that as much as possible to save money on food cost, money on the food product, as well as serving safe food.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
I really like that container.
So like for us in restaurants, when we did a ton of romaine or a ton of lettuce that we washed. Even these large food boxes will come with a large, we call it a colander pan, that sits about an inch and a half off the bottom. So we would do a whole case or 25 pounds of romaine, cut it up, put it in there every single day, and you would see the water drip, and it wouldn't risk any issues with it sitting in its own water.
That is a nice.
What also is good with those is fish storage, like fresh fish storage, usually stored on ice. So at my restaurants, we would do a colander pan like this, and we'd put the fish in, put ice over it. So when the ice started melting, we would change the ice out every night. The fish wasn't sitting in melted water; it was off the water, and the water would just collect at the bottom. So again, keeping the integrity of your food, keeping your customers safe.
I'm happy with that. That is really
nice.
Nice.
So like seal lids like this are great because in third-party studies, they've shown to extend the produce life 3 to 5 days, depending on the produce, because it seals in all those healthy gases. It doesn't allow external forces to come in and ruin the product or mix with the gas to ruin the product. So it's keeping product fresh, which means your food cost is good, your customers are safe, your employees are happy because they're not having to throw stuff out all the time or work with not good produce.
Awesome.
Another great item we have is some slide lids.
Look at this, a slide.
Yeah.
So you don't have to take the lid off. Get the product out.
So say you have oranges, apples you want to keep in your cooler or something like that. Tomatoes, which you shouldn't keep in a cooler, but some people do keep in a cooler.
I don't like those people.
Yeah, you could put them in here.
I'm coming back.
Yeah. Okay. You could put them in here, and then instead of having to remove a lid all the time, which when you remove a lid, you're usually putting it on the floor, grabbing stuff, and now you just
Contamination.
Yeah, contaminated that lid. So we have a sliding lid where you can open it up, take your product out, put it in whatever you're doing, close it back up, and now it's a fully covered product. So nothing's getting into it.
That's another one.
I really like
simple solutions that are readily available to anybody who's working in a commercial kitchen or even at home. I have some of these containers at my house that I store in.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have these at home because I'm just thinking of all the uses for these that I have in my own kitchen. Now,
Absolutely.
Chef Lepage, I got to ask you, and I'm not picking on anybody, but I look at all these containers, and then I'm coming over here and looking at something like that.
Yes.
I'm not pointing fingers.
Well, every restaurant in the world's doing it.
Okay,
so
never
you don't
mind.
have to point at any fingers.
Okay.
Plastic wrap isn't acceptable. Covering for containers.
Okay.
It is. Foil is as well. They have their benefits. It's cheap. You know, you can get a lot of coverings in one roll of plastic wrap. The issue with this is you're not utilizing your space properly, and as you can see, it's not a very good seal on there. So what's going to happen is somebody's going to come in, open this up. The plastic that they just touched is going to fall into the product. So if their hands were dirty or something like that, it's in the product now. Then when they try and go cover it back up, they're ruining it. Then they have to recover it. So it's not an efficient style of service, of storage rather. The other thing is, so we'll try and fix this up a little bit.
But you're right. Even there, though, I mean, think about if you're in an evening rush or a lunch rush, and you're finally grabbing things running. That is pretty much destroyed.
Exactly. Yeah. And what you notice too is when a container is covered with plastic, you're wasting tons of space. So we talked about efficiency of a kitchen, right? Efficiency of storage and proper storage. You're wasting all this space because if you were to put a pan on there, it's going to go in. Now the bottom of that pan, who knows where that's been, right? Hopefully clean, but it's now touching that product, and that's not what you want. So with the proper lid, like a harder lid like this, you can now store stuff on top of it. Just like that. And not ruin the integrity of the food or contaminate.
Or better yet.
This
is
awesome. Yeah.
And my apologies to the restaurant industry on the cellophane.
That's right. I did it at all my restaurants. It's like I said, it's an accepted an accepted lid for storage. It's just not the most efficient to get your safety, to get your storage solutions properly done. Now we have products like these that go on shelves where now you can do almost like a drawer system.
So cool, Linda.
Where
cool.
now nothing's touching, but you can have different products at different levels, and you're utilizing
And I
instead
wouldn't
of
have to pick one on top to get to the bottom.
Exactly.
To get to the bottom.
yeah, because if these were stacked up, you're moving this potentially on top of something that it
Else.
shouldn't be,
Oh.
and you're potentially contaminating it to get to the
Now,
bottom.
when you pulled that off, just so I can see this, I'm gonna. I like that. It's a safety feature, so you can't just go ahead and rip anything off.
Correct.
You got
Yeah.
a little bit
There's
of a lip.
little bit of a lip right there that'll protect the product as well as spillage and protect your employees as well. So, lots of storage solutions, and like I said, you're looking at a great example where you're getting 25% of vertical storage on a shelf. With this system, you're getting 85 to 90% of
Well, and
vertical
it's
storage.
not. I mean, that's heavy duty. You aren't just gonna take that off. I mean, you got some bolts on there, and
Yep.
it's. I really think that is a great way to keep your stuff organized.
Yeah. So we talked about organization, proper containers. Again, when it comes to containers, you want to have a plastic container. Plastic is an approved material. These are polycarbonate material. So polycarbonate is a type of plastic. We have polyethylene and polypropylene as well. No glass. Zero glass storage ever in a kitchen. There should be never any type of glass.
Not to. So this is how my experience is kicking in, but I feel like I'm connecting with all of you at home because we're probably all thinking this. I saw some of these and I thought glass right away.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I really did. Is that
That'll
just
be-
how heavy duty they
Yeah.
are? I thought
No
that
glass.
was going to shatter.
Yeah.
I really thought that was going to shatter.
Yep, no glass, and that's why you can't have glass in the kitchen. If this was glass, it's going to shatter. It's going to
Going
get
into food.
It's going to blow up on somebody's going to get hurt. It's a lot to clean up, and you never know where glass shards are. You never know where they are.
And they fly.
They fly,
They could
yeah.
go in the food.
You know
Correct.
that? How many times at Bojack's did you have one of those things blowing up or a glass breaking and then, get the broom, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, you see it all the time with bartenders who drop a glass into the ice bin. If they chip that glass, throw the glass out, throw all the ice out, because you don't know where that
Yeah.
glass went. So
That's why we use
a
scoops.
scoop, a plastic scoop, a polycarbonate scoop.
A polycarbonate
Yeah.
scoop, exactly.
So never any glass for safety
Yeah.
reasons as well. It's not just personal safety for your employees,
Yeah.
but safety for your staff, safety for your customers who you don't want to find glass.
It's all safety.
Yeah,
It's
safety.
all about
Very
everything.
interesting.
And with safety comes cleanability.
Yes.
Right. So
That
you
is
have
true.
all your storage solutions. You're taking stuff out of cardboard. You're putting it into containers, clear containers,
Yes.
where you can see the product, see how it's aging in your cooler, in your dry storage, and now you have to clean it. So we've talked about sanitizing on previous podcasts.
Yes.
It's talked about dishwashers and how heat treated or chemical treated dishwashers can clean product properly. But what about the actual shelving? How do you clean that? So there's systems out there now that are really easy for cleanability.
Now this makes me excited too.
So this in particular system has removable shelf plates
Oh, whoa! I actually had no idea. That's a shock. Okay.
that will come off, and these will fit in your dish machine.
Isn't this awesome?
So,
That's amazing.
Say you do spill something, like you said, your tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Spill it on whatever container, it opens up, it spills, you're using plastic wrap, it spills all over the place. Now you can take these off, run them through the dish machine. If you have to clean the front, these are very easy to clean
Oh,
compared
yeah.
to some other shelving has wire shelving, and it's got
The
views
ridges.
and shapes in there, and then you have to, I call it flossing. You take like a paper or a
Yeah.
towel, put it between you, floss it. It's very hard.
What a
It's not very
pain,
easy to
right?
clean. So this you just
This is easy.
easily wipe down. And one thing I don't know if they noticed or anybody noticed yet, but on this bottom shelf we actually have solid shelving.
Solid.
Oh, yeah.
So these all have holes.
Yeah.
And that.
All of these.
So this will be vented shelving. A lot of people like the vented because it allows airflow, so more even cooling. If you're usually walk-ins have a great fan system, so you don't have to have it. But a lot of people love the vented for the airflow. The other thing that's great is with these solid shelves, we talked about 6 inches off the floor, right, for the bottom shelf, so you can sweep and mop underneath there. But if you're sweeping and mopping, sometimes dirty water, debris is getting
Flops up.
kicked up. Solid shelves prevent any debris from getting kicked up and getting onto your product.
I love it. I'm
So-
sold. I'm in.
Yeah, so it's another great product, a great solution. We do for especially K through 12 healthcare solutions, even regular brick and mortar restaurants. We'll do solid on the bottom and vented everywhere else. If they want all solid, great. They want all vented, that's great. We just inform them that health departments really do like
The bottom.
the bottom to be solid.
Now, Linda, in your classes, when you have folks asking questions about these type of, does this come up a little bit?
Shelving, I'd be very honest, has not, because I've learned a lot here. I love how you put this in the dishwasher.
Lepage is our professor today. This is
Yes, he is.
amazing.
I've been learning today, and I love this situation. And of course, with the little pot, with a calendar style.
Yeah, I have a saying, and my company has a saying: you don't know what you don't know. So just a lot of people don't know that solutions exist like this.
Yeah.
The restaurant industry has a tendency to be stuck in its ways sometimes. So
Yes.
the traditional wire shelving, it works. It's a great shelving. It'll hold your stuff. But when it comes to cleanability or longevity of the shelving, it's not the best.
Yeah.
When you have solutions like this, yes, these might be a little bit more expensive, but this shelving right here is guaranteed for life. So it'll be the last shelving you buy. It has antimicrobial plastic, which inhibits the growth of bacteria. So
That's cool.
health departments love it. So for K through 12s, colleges, universities, high volume, hospitals, senior living facilities, it's almost a standard that they have to have this type of shelving in them because it inhibits the growth of bacteria. It won't prevent it, but it's another step to stopping it from initially.
And that's what we got to have, all these little things to make it work.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. So you invest early on into great products that help, and then it's cruise control from there pretty much. You do some training on where to store stuff, how to put the right container for the right product, and then from there on out, there should be no issues. It's not as difficult as it seems.
Well, and that's the thing, because I'm looking at this, and I've never heard of anybody, and Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, go, well, our shelving in our walkout, I want it to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Just get some shelving in, and this is the right stuff to have. And I mean,
this is beautiful and the right stuff.
It really, good answer. I'm telling you, we're ready for family.
Because the number
feud.
one thing, it's on the test, is the product. What type of product do we want? I'm not talking about food. I'm talking about the containers, the equipment, and all of that. And number one is cleanability.
Yeah.
That's the most important. So we can control the pathogens.
Well, and the thing is, if something's not easy to clean, it's not going to get clean. It just won't. Nobody's going to want to do it. It's going to become a chore rather than an rather than an additional step of your daily activity. So with making products very easy to clean, easy to see, easy to handle, it just makes that additional step of cleaning much easier for your staff or yourself to do.
How great was
Yeah. We learned something new today, didn't we?
I'm telling you what, well, Linda, how can we find out where you're going to be at next? I know that we're taping earlier in the month than normal, but the month of June is going to be really big for you and busy.
Well, the 1st of May, I've got a class next Monday at Johnson's Corner in Alton, Illinois. I'll be there. And then in June, will be Roma's Pizza.
Oh, yeah, great pizza.
Roma's Pizza is on the 7th of June, a Wednesday. June 5th is our golf outing for ILBA, so I won't be having a class. And then I have a class in Effingham, June 19th, a Monday. Excellent. And I have one in Breeze, Illinois. Boy, I'm losing my dates here. Maybe the 14th of June, I think.
Wow.
I'm losing, I'm busy.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is that I went to Chicago and I got my training in. I can officially write HACCP program. And what does HACCP stand for? Yeah, you were in my class. It was on the test.
Hazard
analysis,
critical control points.
Nailed it.
I got it.
So now I can write one of these programs. This is a specialty food safety program when somebody's doing something special. So with dressing a deer, or maybe they're making beef jerky, or something. And a lot of the manufacturing plants, food production plants, are required to have some of these HACCP programs.
Absolutely.
And it was intense training. It was wonderful training, and it would also make my teaching better.
Yeah.
I learned a whole lot while I was there, and I was very overwhelmed. So anyway, I'm tickled to death. I passed.
Yeah.
Well, all I can tell you is, Linda, I was going to surprise you at the end by mentioning, I'm glad you brought it up, because that's huge, and it shows to always continue your education, keep growing.
Always. You got to continue your education.
Just like
And here's what I learned. The more you learn you don't know it all.
Yeah.
I need to know more, and I learned that this past 5 days in Chicago.
Like I said, you don't know what you don't know, so you got to continue to learn.
Always.
Absolutely.
And here we are today.
Absolutely. So, for more information on Linda's classes, how you can be a part of them, safefoodspecialist.com. Chef Lepage, thank you, sir. With an
My
E.
pleasure. With an E.
with an E.
And small P.
Small P.
All one word.
And of course, thank you to Ford
Thank
Hotel
you.
Supply for hanging out with us today, providing us another beautiful location to talk about shelving. On that note, have a great, safe weekend.
Yes.
But most importantly, try your best to stay out of jail.